Welcome to the In a Nutshell podcast with myself, Andrew Davis, and back, Mr. Chris Branch, who we'll get into why he was away for a while. So, but this is the 10-minute daily podcast where we talk about everything generative AI, but we take out all of the techie stuff because what we want to do is we want to aim this podcast to the everyday person, marketer, and content creator. Now, we've only got 10 minutes, and what we're going to be speaking about today is concluding what we've been talking about all week, which is summarizing what's been happening over the year. So on Monday, I was talking about the videos, what's happening in video generation when it comes to generative AI in 2023. Tuesday was all about audio. And for me, audio is one of the most exciting spaces right now. Yesterday was about the chatbots, so the likes of ChatGPT and Claude 2 and Gemini and all of those. And today we're going to be talking about images. So it's kind of like, Chris's favorite. So it's imagine if there's 4 pillars. That's kind of like when it comes to content creation, and even when it comes to marketing and getting the word out there, it's usually one of these 4 parts of content. So we wanted to talk about images last because for me, it's the one, videos and chatbots are the ones that's kind of a lot further ahead than some of the others. And also, I guess ChatGPT is what got a lot of people into the kind of generative AI. But usually after that, people then go and start playing with the images. So what we want to do is talk about where we are now. But quickly, Chris, where have you been? Where have you been for the last couple of weeks?
In the hospital, mate, getting newborn baby back. So I'm really happy that we're back home and settled. I've even got my dad's sweater on already. Like,
Exactly.
First one, and I'm in like a zip-up dad sweater. So first time it's not a hoodie in like forever recording this podcast.
Yeah, so congratulations to you there.
Cheers, mate.
Brilliant. So, Chris, this year in image generation, what's your thoughts? How do you think it's been?
What a year. Like, I thought version 4, I looked at the timeline just before we recorded this, and version 4 of Midjourney dropped in November of last year, actually. It feels like it was this year because there's so much has happened. But actually, the leap to version 5 came this year, and that was a game changer.
Yeah.
But then we saw some dark horses come out of absolutely nowhere. No one expected DALL-E 3 to come out, and here it is. And it's able to do text. And then in between those two came one called Ideogram that was able to do text, sort of like a version 4 Midjourney, but with generative text inside as well.
Yeah.
We've had Stable Diffusion XL come out as well, which is a massive upgrade to Stable Diffusion. That's the open source version of image creation. And yeah, now we're in like a massive 4 or 5 horse race with all of these guys doing exceptional things. And actually, the use cases differ from one to one. Like, we've talked in the past about Stable Diffusion will allow things that others won't because it's the open source one that's not so friendly for work. You know, it'll allow everything basically. Midjourney, you don't have an API, and DALL-E 3, you do have an API. So there's differences and reasons to use all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Or 4 even.
Exactly. And if you, as you mentioned right at the beginning, when it went from with Midjourney, when it went from version 4 to version 5, which happened this year,
huge leap.
It was a huge leap. Yeah. So if we kind of like look at so many things that's happened this year, whether it be the new platforms, as you mentioned, that's kind of come out, certain features. So for example, a big thing that happened this year was generative fill. So that was a
massive for edits.
If you don't know what that is, so imagine you've got us here, but you don't know what's going on that side of me to my right or that side of me to my left. Generative fill essentially just creates what it believes will be there, and that was huge. That was in Adobe Firefly first.
Yes, Firefly.
That was kind of the one who kind of started that wave, but now it's in pretty much most of the main things.
And
that was
honestly, that was an extension of DALL-E's original idea, which was outpainting.
Yeah.
So again, DALL-E 2 has a lot to thank for the features that we got today. And features is the name of the game in 2023, isn't it? It's like photorealism got cracked, and then it was like, well, what features can we get? And now we've got pan outs on Midjourney. We've got like generative fill, like you said. We've got region fill. We've got all these like control things that most art directors have wanted the whole time.
Yeah.
but obviously it takes time to implement these things.
Exactly, and they don't want to add too many features all at once because it'll just
Right.
get a bit too confusing. I think the region fill was quite interesting, where you just
Hmm.
select a particular part of the image, and then you can obviously kind of fill it in with what you want or remove something.
Hmm.
I think that was a big feature. I think overall, for me, it's the quality of the images that played a big part this year.
Hmm.
There is, you'll see this on pretty much when Midjourney announced. Yesterday they announced their version 6 that is coming out soon. And then what you'll find is whenever it goes from DALL-E 1, 2, 3, or Midjourney 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're always going to see people create images of this is what it looked like version 1, version 2, version 3,
Yeah.
and you see the growth in each of them, which is
Massive.
which is huge. And I think that this year I think we got to the point where you can have many different styles and they all look very good. You know, whether it be a cartoonish style, whether it be a real, like realistic style, whether it be when you actually type in lighting studios or a particular lens, it really is starting to nail it. And I think this year kind of really showed even art directors that, you know what, this is really a serious piece of
Yep.
technology. So
Control's the name of the game.
yeah, exactly. So I think they were some really important things. The other thing I think, another area that I thought was important, and you kind of mentioned it when you talked about the words, having words in the images. I think that
Yes.
that played a big part, and I think,
Generative text.
yeah,
Yeah. I think
I
everyone wants
yeah
it now in every model. I think that's set a precedent now, and I think
yeah.
hopefully Midjourney 6 will have some accurate spelling as well.
I think they have to really
Mm.
because so many of the other ones can do that. I
Hmm.
think another thing where this was towards the end of the year was when we started to get in towards the sketch to images,
Hmm.
where in Leonardo I've seen this where you starting to you draw something on one side of the. So imagine if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that where the screen is split in two. I'm on one side, Chris is on the other. So imagine you're drawing on my side, and that could be just the like you with the mouse drawing.
Hmm.
And then on the other side, on Chris's side, it will be a real image what you're drawing. So if I was drawing a robin,
Hmm.
like a robin bird on a beach with like a guy surfing in the background, that obviously my sketch is going to be pretty terrible, but what you're actually seeing, what it's creating is going to be that. So you're kind of
Yeah.
taking prompts to that next level. So I think that's quite an interesting feature that they've done this year.
The
Um,
biggest bit about that, by the way, is the latency. It's now real time. I've seen
yeah,
literal
real
real
time.
time, like
Yeah,
doodle to photorealism. Like you're saying,
mm,
imagine that you're doing just like a rough outline of anything, like a bird or a tree, and every time you add a branch, it's a different image instantly
yeah,
flashing on the other side. Like it's incredible.
yeah.
Like,
That for me, I think that. Well, to be honest, I tried it and it wasn't that accurate when I was doing it. I don't know whether my drawings were that bad. It still couldn't work it out, even with all these brains that these AIs have. It still couldn't work out my drawings. But it didn't nail it just yet. But I think next year it'll be really good. But what I did, piece of tech that came towards the end of this year that I really did like, and it was I've seen it only on Clip Drop, and that is you're typing a prompt and in real time it's creating the image at the same time. So if I say a Yorkshire Terrier dog, and it will have a Yorkshire Terrier dog on the beach, and then it will create the beach. When I say real time, like a second delay, with holding a frisbee, and then it'll frisbee, and then I say in its mouth, a frisbee in its mouth. So all of this is happening in real time. And even if I went back and say, actually, forget a frisbee, say a football and by its paw, it will just change it in real time. And I think that is quite interesting, as well as the quality as well. So
huge to the workflow.
huge to the workflow. And I think, as you said there, Chris, 2023, towards the end of 2023 especially, was all about the features. 2024, it's going to be very interesting to see.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, in a nutshell, when it comes to image generation, 2023 was a fantastic year. It took
Insane.
it leaps and bounds of what it could do from last year. And I think what it really did was showed what you can imagine here right in front of you into some form of, whether it be a laptop, whether it be a phone. And I think that's what 2023 did. set the trend for a lot of people, a lot of platforms getting involved in this space, showed what's possible for 2024.
Yeah. And the latent space coming down to 0 seconds is a game changer.
Big game changer.